The Honorable Mr. Justice Daniel Musinga, the President of the Court of Appeal, the Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Nurdin Haji, the Inspector General of the National Police, Mr. Hilary Mutiambai, my colleagues from the national government who are here, including our Commissioner General, National Police Service, Prison Service, the Assistant Minister for Finance, the President of the Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Harvey, our development partners who are represented here by various institutions, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it gives me great pleasure to be here. And let me start my brief remarks by very sincerely congratulating you, DPP, and your team, Dorcas, and all these wonderful people you work with for upholding the highest possible standards of managing an independent office such as you have done with the ODPP. It's a fact that sometimes in public life in Kenya, we sometimes don't tell each other the truth. There was a time when somebody was given a responsibility to run an independent office some time back in the country. I think, Mr. Harvey, you might remember, it was somebody from your organization. And he spent most of the time addressing press conferences every week, talking about everything from the weather to government vehicles to everything. And there was nothing to show for it. And, you know, he served out his term and that was it. And look at how long Mr. Haji has been the DPP, and look at what we know and what we can see about the ODPP. I sincerely thank you, because now you can see a very serious institutionalized framework of getting some work done. And as you walk into this compound, you cannot, of course, fail to notice the level of commitment and seriousness in the work that you want to put in place. I congratulate you again, I thank you, and I pledge on my own behalf and on behalf of my colleagues in the security sector that we will continue to collaborate with you. I usually, secondly, find it important to say this in an environment such as this, because we in the executive branch are the ones who are always accused of being overreaching, overbearing, intrusive, meddlesome, and so on. I sincerely recognize and we respect the independence of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We are only collaborators, and everything I say here is just an observation, and we will keep our peace and respect the lines that are drawn for us by the Constitution. We enjoy working together, and we remain everlastingly grateful for us in the security sector for the environment that has been set for us by His Excellency, the President, when he demanded of us that we create a multi-agents framework of delivering in the security sector. My brother, the Inspector General, the Commissioner General, Prison Service, can admit here that ever since the President insisted that we all have to sit around the table and deal with issues relating to the justice sector collaboratively, we have, of course, learned that constructive cooperation is the way to go, and constructive cooperation is not compromise. We do not interfere with each other, we respect the independence of the officers that we have, and we'll continue to work with them. That is why, number three, now that we're here, I would like my brother, the Vice Chair of the IPOA, to look around this compound and take a leave. I am prepared, as I've told you before, to persuade the Inspector General of Police to give you some land from so much land that the police have now, so that you also can build an independent institution in IPOA where you have an office where you work from, so that you don't look like you're scrounging or depending on others, so that you can develop the confidence of your officers and the independence of your office, so that even as you oversight us, you don't look like you're so dependent on us in order to deliver on the mandate that you have been given. Fourthly, DPP, the launch of the Excellence Charter is new ground that you're broken. Frankly, you are the only institution I know in the criminal justice sector that has gotten to this point. And you have immediately with that thrown a challenge at all of us, Inspector General, I believe you have taken very good note of this. My good friend, Mr. Ogalo, I hope you are taking good note of this. And my brother from the IPOA, I hope you are taking good note of this, that the ODPP is now blazing the trail. And we need to follow suit and develop this culture of excellence in the manner in which we do things. Agreeing to develop an accountability framework to itself is the first admission by the ODPP that they are ready, prepared, and willing to serve in a modern way and in a manner that meets the demands of our time. For the short time that we have been working together, we have noticed your consistent quest to improve your standards of practice, to improve your delivery of service, and none other than the President of the Court of Appeal has testified here this morning that the standards of your work have indeed improved. We encourage you and also request you with a measure of humility to unhold those others within the ecosystem of the criminal justice system to strive to live up to the standards that you have set. I will fail if I do not make this promise this morning. We are committed to working together. There is no way we are going to succeed as if we work in silos. The multi-agents framework we have in place, or the inter-agents collaboration that we have in place, is working well for us. And DPP, I want to commit myself that from the law enforcement part, we will do our part. Of course, law enforcement is a chain. When I was on this podium last time, I said, for example, what we are doing in the National Police Service to improve the capacity of investigation, so that when we send files to you, you don't have to send them back several times. That we have created a new cadre of police officers, all of them graduate trainees who are undertaking a one-year program now, and when they graduate, they will graduate as cadet police officers. And we have drawn them from all fields. We have several lawyers in that group. We have medical doctors there, and we have scientists and IT experts in that group, so that as we go into new ground of working on crime like cybersecurity, we have capability to be of value to the ODPP, so that you don't have to every time send a file back to us. Because as I said last time, and Mr. Matiangi will take this in his stride, you do not expect that if we can't even get grammar right, we can be useful to the ODPP. We have to give the ODPP staff that he can work with. And that's why, with the investment the government is making in the new forensic laboratory at the DCI headquarters, with the new investments we are making in training new officers, we are trying to measure up to the expectations of fighting crime in the modern environment in which we find ourselves. Finally, my brother, the President of the Law Society of Kenya, I agree with you. And then frankly, as a country, we long lost the days of arguments even on things that are straightforward that you can see. And I take in your stride your concerns about the level of crime and the investigations that we need to carry out. All I ask is that let us now adopt a collaborative approach. You know, the most important words in our Constitution, and that's the first line of our Constitution, is that we, the people of Kenya. It's not we, the executive branch of the Republic of Kenya, or we, the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya, or we, the lawyers in the Republic of Kenya. It is we, the people of Kenya. And those words belong to all of us. We've come to a point in the country when we need to have very collaborative conversations on how we deal with these issues. The Inspector General can testify to this. We have invested heavily in tracking down crime, some of it very sophisticated. But we want to ask members of the public also to collaborate with us. All these people who are running wash activities in Thika, all these characters we are picking from estates engaged in money laundering and so on. All these characters we finally trace who are trying to abduct kids live in our midst. It's very helpful sometimes for the public also to be conscious of the rising levels of crime. Some of the criminality we are dealing with, which is sophisticated, is related to lifestyle. That because we become intensely materialistic, people are running rackets, money laundering rackets that are covered for a very long time. But the time the police stumble on this, they have taken away lives. And look, my brothers and sisters, look where we find ourselves. Look at our borders, and look who are our neighbors, and look at the challenges of policing a country with the kind of porous borders that we have. In 2 years alone, we have collected close to about 14,000 guns, over 400,000 bullets from wrong hands. Tomorrow we'll be burning another huge pile of those guns. That says something about where we find ourselves, which means unless we all collaborate and come together and work together, I am happy to sit down with everyone. You know, we are public servants. It is our responsibility. The buck stops here. I will not shirk. I will not hide from my responsibility. I will not blame the Law Society of Kenya or blame anyone for asking me questions. I am paid to answer questions. Let's work together on this issue of crime in the country. And when some of these things, even when some of these people end up in your offices as lawyers, as you draw agreements for them and try to advise them on how they do business, some of the criminal activities that you help facilitate through your agreements, please bring it to our attention in good time so that we can get these people. Manam Nagani. That is it. Let us work together on this thing. You know, white-collar crime in this country is facilitated by some of us, as it were. And by the time we are pushing Mutiambai and pushing Kinoti and finally giving a file to Nurdin, a lot of madness has happened in the process. But if we adopted a very collaborative effort, we'll be able to do with it. This does not mean that we will shy away from our response. We will do our part. The Inspector General knows how much pressure we are putting him under and how much pressure the National Security Council has put him under. He knows the demands His Excellency the President has made of him on some of these issues that we deal with. We do not condone crime and the violation of human rights, even by our men and women in uniform. And there is evidence that we have disciplined those of our officers who have gone outside the service standing orders. And that's why I'm so grateful, very, very grateful indeed, IG, that we collaborated with the ODPP through our internal affairs unit in coming up with the service orders that are improved here, especially on the violation of human rights. I assure you, and I pledge to you, especially IPOA, that any time you will need investigations, any time you need information on all this, we will collaborate fully, and we will work with you fully. And ODPP and all of you good people, I promise that we will do our part. But let us work together so that we can make our country a much better place. We have done so much, and we have come so far. But I know there's more to be done. There is some more distance to be covered. We pledge our commitment in working with you in that direction. Whatever we can do to ensure that our institutions work and work for the good of our people, we will do it. I cannot thank you enough, DPP and your team, for showing the way, for the solid manner in which you have led. You have led from the front, not from press conferences, but from the wonderful work that you have done in our country. Redefined this office of the Director of Public Prosecution, given it a very high moral character, and given it an institutional image that we all desire as we go forward. So we wish you well, and we will work all the way as we serve our people. May God bless you, wonderful people. Congratulations again. And I think with those many remarks, I declare the documents we are launching today officially launched, except for the ceremony that you are going to take us through. Thank you, sir.